coming up today on Good Morning BU.
Election season ramps up in Philadelphia, with some mail-in ballots getting rejected and a rally from the VP.
Thousands of patients in 4 major Massachusetts hospitals could lose access to primary care services and insurance.
And hear how BU undergrads are helping communities recover from Hurricanes Helene and Milton.
The Celtics are on top already this season after Tuesday's home opener, but a watch party near City Hall turned deadly for some.
Did we hear discount? Find out how to get reduced price student tickets to Boston Ballet's fall season.
Live from Studio West in the College of Communication, Good Morning BU starts right now.
Hello and welcome to Good Morning BU. I'm Sophia Falbo.
And I'm Sydney Toff. Here are today's top stories. An Israeli airstrike last night killed 3 media staffers in a journalist housing compound in southern Lebanon. Of the 3, 2 victims were Al Mayadeen TV staffers, while the third was a Hezbollah camera operator. Lebanon's informational minister Ziad Makari said the strike was a deliberate assassination since the Hasbaya compound is base for many media organizations. And Israel did not issue a warning about the strike. Israel's military says it is still looking into reports of the attack.
North Korea deployed soldiers to assist Russia in their war effort, marking a major shift in Moscow's effort to win the war. At this time, there are 3,000 North Korean soldiers on Russian soil, and the number is expected to rise to 10,000 by December. This would be the first major overseas conflict North Korea has fought since 1950.
If they're co-belligerents, their intention is to participate in this war on Russia's behalf, that is a very, very serious issue.
As one of the few countries publicly supporting the Russian invasion, North Korea has been replenishing weapons supplies to Russia. But there is no hard evidence that North Korea troops have walked onto the battlefield yet.
With less than 2 weeks before Election Day, Vice President Kamala Harris gave one final plea to voters at CNN's Town Hall in Chester Township, Pennsylvania on Wednesday. Harris critiqued former President Donald Trump on his restrictive policy on abortion rights and his mental capacity to perform the role of President of the United States. These have been common attacks towards Trump at the end of her campaign. Harris also went on to call Trump a fascist, citing how former White House Chief of Staff John Kelly has raised concerns about the threat a second Trump term would pose for the democracy.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I also believe that the people who know him best on this subject should be trusted.
While Harris had the entire stage to shine, many viewers were left curious about her constant reversals on pertinent issues, like her own self-identity and whether she would have made more of an impression had Trump accepted an offer for a second debate.
In more news about this battleground state, Philadelphia's Office of the City Commissioner reported thousands of mail-in ballots in the Philadelphia area were rejected because of simple errors. The potential impact of this is unclear, as only 2/3 of Pennsylvania counties notify mail voters if there is an error on their mail ballot envelopes. While many continue to mail in their ballots, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled on Wednesday that voters could cast provisional ballots in person. This decision is a loss for the Republican National Committee, which had argued on behalf of Pennsylvania county voters in the 2024 primary. This comes as the Republican Party is dramatically increasing efforts to raise voter registration numbers in swing states.
One Trump ally is taking voter registration a step further by proposing a $1 million per day cash giveaway. Elon Musk and his campaign group America PAC, which has funded Trump's campaign, is asking registered voters in swing states to sign a petition. One person will be randomly selected and awarded $1 million every day until the election. The U.S. Justice Department sent a letter to Musk's super PAC earlier this week, warning them that this cash incentive may violate federal laws. But Musk has managed to push back from all the criticism he's received on this, saying that anyone can sign the petition regardless of their party or even how they vote.
Moving over to the West Coast, the head of the Los Angeles Times' editorial team quit on Wednesday after a disagreement over endorsing Harris's campaign. Mariel Garza, who led the editorial board, said she didn't stay quiet after the paper's owner, Patrick Soon-Shiong, announced the LA Times wouldn't endorse anyone in the race. Garza said the board had planned to support Harris, but Soon-Shiong blocked it. He wanted the board to instead compare the candidates' policies. Garza resigned, saying it's wrong for California's biggest paper to stay silent in such an important election. The LA Times has backed a Democrat for president in every race since 2008.
Former President Trump's campaign takes him to McDonald's in Pennsylvania, where he served fries through a drive-through window. And the news surrounding McDonald's doesn't end there. An E. coli outbreak was linked to McDonald's Quarter Pounder as of Tuesday. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention stated that 49 people have become ill and 1 person has died following the outbreak. Investigations have linked the slivered onions, primarily used in the Quarter Pounder, as the likely source of contamination. McDonald's said it would stop using the onions and halted sales of Quarter Pounders in the impacted states.
Michael Jeffries, the former CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch, was indicted for sex trafficking and prostitution charges on Tuesday. Federal prosecutors say that Jeffries sexually exploited aspiring male models after coercing them to accompany him on international trips. The indictment included accusations from 15 alleged victims who say they were coerced into sexual acts by Jeffries. His partner Matthew Smith and co-conspirator James Jacobson were also arrested on Tuesday for their involvement in the sex trafficking scheme.
E-cigarette company Juul and tobacco firm Altria began sending out payments this week to users from a $300 million settlement. Users on Reddit and X shared their checks, ranging from a few $100s to sometimes more than $9,000. The settlement was a part of a class action lawsuit that claimed Juul vape pens charged higher prices and illegally marketed products to minors before December 2022. Both Juul and Altria still have not admitted any wrongdoing.
All eyes are on wind turbine blade manufacturing company GE Vernova after fragments of many of their blades were found washed up onto East Coast beaches in Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. GE Vernova's chief executive Scott L. Strazik said on a call with analysts that the company found that low single-digit number of blades had manufacturing deviations similar to those of a blade that collapsed in July. This string of Vernova construction mishaps may have contributed to some of the company's recent struggle. Vernova saw a $100 million drop in third quarter revenue and the halting of a $44 billion vineyard wind project that was on par to become the first commercial offshore wind farm in the United States. While the wind turbine giant continues to fight off a list of backlogged orders estimated at $3 billion, those dependent on the turbines might have to wait a few weeks before Vernova can return to new blade installation. Now, don't blow away. We have some local updates that'll do just that coming up after this break.
Be right there. Wait. Use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel. Then make sure it's cool.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Brushed up on some tips before we left. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
Bro, you gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's a white people thing.
Escúchame, en esta casa los hombres no lloran.
You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
Thanks for hearing me out, bro. Appreciate it.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad. Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back. On Wednesday night in Cambridge, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Governor Maura Healey were met by pro-Palestinian protesters at the Harvard bookstore. At the First Parish Church on Massachusetts Avenue, Pelosi was promoting her book, The Art of Power, which tells the story of her transformation from housewife to House Speaker. Protesters, led by Mass Peace Action, criticized U.S. support for Israel, demanding an end to arms distribution. While this carried on, protesters also handed out flyers, with activists urging leaders to, quote, listen to the people and reconsider U.S. foreign policy.
Brookline police are investigating swastika stickers that have been appearing around Coolidge Corner this past weekend. The anti-Semitic stickers were first reported around Harvard Square. 16 of them were posted on public property like light poles and street signs. The stickers were in the shape of an Israeli flag with the Star of David replaced by the swastika. They also have the phrase, "Stop funding Israeli terrorism" on it. Cambridge and Brookline police are still investigating the stickers. The Cambridge and Brookline police also asked to contact them if anyone has any information about these incidents.
An unusual update on the Karen Reed case brings us to rubber ducks and fake $100 bills. Reed supporter Richard Schiffer Jr. pleaded not guilty to charges of witness intimidation, littering, and harassment on Wednesday. These charges were brought against him after dozens of rubber ducks and fake money with messages supporting Reed started popping up across Canton. The rubber ducks are a nod to the defense's closing statement, in which attorney Alan Jackson said,
"If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck."
Schiffer's attorney, Timothy Brattle, aims to have the charges dismissed under the First Amendment, calling the charges against Schiffer a, quote, ridiculous government overreach.
The parents of a Massachusetts high schooler who was disciplined for using AI on a school project are now suing the school for allegedly ruining his admissions prospects at elite colleges. Dale and Jennifer Harris requested in federal court last Tuesday that the school change their son's class grade to a B after he failed the project and erase any record of his subsequent detention. School officials defended their actions, calling unauthorized use of AI a quote, serious infraction where the student cheated himself and others. Peter Farrell, the Harris's lawyer, has stated that this case represents the evolving collaboration between human creativity and machine assistance, and that unfortunately, this student has been caught in that transition.
Literally 40,000 patients at Children's, UMass, and Tenet hospitals could lose access to their primary care, specialists, and insurance due to failed negotiations between Point32 Health and these other health systems. With Point32 Health acting as the second largest healthcare insurer in the state of Massachusetts, this crisis only intensifies the effects of issues like the primary care doctor shortage and the bankruptcy of Steward Health. How exactly Point32 failed to fulfill its contract to Boston Children's Hospital remains relatively vague, but Dr. Eric Dickinson, chief executive of UMass Memorial Hospital, shared that the reimbursement rate that the insurer offered was lower than they could afford. Negotiations between Point32 Health and Tenet Healthcare remain ongoing, but representatives at Tenet predict that this process will not be timely. Michael Fopiano, Director of Member and Provider Services at Point32 Health, has shared that the insurer wants to help patients find new providers, but many express concern over the risk of having to change primary healthcare doctors.
Higher education enrollment in Massachusetts is up for the first time in years. The rise is thanks to the new free community college program, Mass Educate. The program made community college free for Massachusetts residents who don't already have a degree and are planning to enroll in at least 6 hours of classes. Since colleges became more accessible and affordable, community colleges saw a 14% increase in enrollment between the fall of 2023 and 2024. The state saw a 7% increase overall.
On Wednesday, commuter rail workers protested outside of South Station, demanding higher wages and more affordable health insurance from their employer, Keolis Commuter Services. Workers on the commuter rail are the lowest paid commuter rail workers in the entire country, and contract negotiations have been ongoing for the past year. Now, let's switch from the purple line to the green line, because it's finally tea time.
It's tea time. MBTA announced a mock-up of a proposed new green line that would be longer and more disability friendly. The orange line successfully completed critical track work and will be closed over this weekend for more improvements. As Halloween approaches, beware of the Mattapan trolley route that is rumored to be haunted. The line goes through Cedar Grove Cemetery in Dorchester. Riders have reported seeing a mysterious apparition and drivers repeating morbid poems on the midnight run through the cemetery. Don't go off the rails. The next stories from Boston University are now approaching, right after this break.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Welcome back. New contraception machines on Med Campus. The BU Medical Campus now has a vending machine with low-cost generic Plan B and info sheets for sexual health resources. Student Health Services, BU Medical Students for Choice, and BU Vending Services have worked together to make this possible over the past 2 years. The goal is to help students' physical and mental health with its inclusive and affordable services. The vending machine can be found in the basement of the instructional building.
In other BU news, monstrous hurricanes Helene and Milton devastated communities across Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas, leaving over 250 people dead and causing $100 billion in damages. BU student Ali Baptiste, inspired by her father's service in Hurricane Katrina, answered the call to volunteer with American Red Cross. She told BU Today that she worked tirelessly to provide shelter and hope to those displaced by Hurricane Milton. Baptiste and her fellow volunteers organized a luncheon afterwards to support recovery efforts.
With Election Day less than 2 weeks away, our interview correspondent George Lehman sat down with Dr. Calm to understand ways to stay calm during this chaos.
With less than 2 weeks until the election, Americans will cast their vote for president on November 5th. However, the election period marks a time of stress for Americans. Dr. Karan Daniela, also known as Dr. Calm, has dedicated his medical practice to stress management.
Stress is associated with so many health issues. Your anxiety or worry, fear in your life not only affects your mind, but also affects your body.
A report from the American Psychiatric Association found that 73% of U.S. adults say they are anxious about the 2024 election. In his book, The Mantra of Peaceful Politics, Calm offers advice on how to deal with political stress.
When it comes to stress, none of us get taught at school, at college, at work. And so you're thrown into this sea of suffering, into this ocean of suffering. And you're like, oh, what do I do now? I don't know how to swim, so I'm drowning. But I want to warn that political stress and personal stress are not two separate stresses. One thing affects other. So learning stress management skills is very, very important.
In terms of stress towards the election, Calm recommends limiting time on social media as well as watching the news.
Maintain social media ration, what I call. Means don't spend too much time on social media, or in fact, even watching the regular media, TV, radio, because there's so much information and most of it is negative.
Calm explained that having an open discussion can be beneficial with helping manage stress.
To have an open discussion is always a great thing, because only then you kind of understand other people's perspective, and also you kind of understand the strengths or weaknesses in your own thoughts.
As the election approaches, students can follow Dr. Calm's tips on how to manage stress during the election period. On election night, multiple clubs across BU's campus, including BU College Democrats, will be hosting watch parties for students to participate in. Reporting for GMBU, I'm George Lehman.
Thank you, George, for that wonderful interview. Now, let's ask you a question. Are you sticking around for some Boston sports updates? We'll return with some right after this break.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Okay. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water at the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What?
I can't drive.
Why?
My. Oh.
Welcome back. Current New England Patriots head coach Gerard Mayo is facing criticism from former head coach Bill Belichick. Mayo made comments calling the team soft, which prompted Belichick to respond on ESPN's The Pat McAfee Show on Monday. Belichick defended the players and cited coaching to be part of the reason for the Patriots' 1-6 season so far. Mayo responded to Belichick, directing the conversation to what's next for the team and to hopefully turn the team around. With the season not off to the best start, the Patriots have the chance to turn things around with the upcoming draft. The November 5th deadline will give teams the opportunity to reshape their roster for the year, giving the teams and fans a chance to see their team to change the grim outlook the Patriots are facing so far. Opening up spots on the team for fresher talent could create a team suitable with Mayo's coaching, leading to another long-awaited Super Bowl ring. We'll have to wait to April to hear Sweet Caroline while eating a hot dog at Fenway Park. But luckily, there's still 1 week of baseball left. Sports correspondent Lily Chapman is here to talk all things World Series.
The time has come. The Yankees and the Dodgers will battle it out in hopes of becoming the next World Series champs. But before I get to the nitty-gritty details of what's to come, let's take a look at some of the playoffs' most memorable moments. Cleveland Guardians first baseman David Fry had no problem guarding his home field during Game 3 of the American League Championship Series. In the nail-biting 10th inning, Fry hit a 2-run walk-off homer that left the crowd going wild. This moment sealed a 7-5 win over the Yankees and cut the series deficit to 2-1. It wasn't enough to best the Yankees, but it's safe to say that this was a moment for the books. By the Game 5 of the ALCS, Progressive Field was concrete jungle where dreams are made of, thanks to the Yankees outfielder Juan Soto. Things were looking grim as Soto fought pitch after pitch in the top of the 10th inning, but all of a sudden, boom, he hit a go-ahead 3-run home run and bought the Yankees a one-way ticket to the World Series. Moments like these make the 5-player trade for Soto worth it. The Los Angeles Dodgers entered the postseason with full force. Even though the National League Series against the Mets was tied heading into Game 3, LA's dominance quickly resurfaced to Max Muncy. He added not only 1, but 2, or actually 3 home runs to their 8-point win. It certainly helped that the Dodgers lineup is stacked with former Red Sox players Enrique Hernandez and Mookie Betts, and baseball's newest prince, Shohei Ohtani. The World Series starts tonight at 8:08 p.m. as the 2 toughest teams in baseball face off to be a World Series champion. And whether you're a Yankees or Dodgers fan, you can expect good baseball to close out October. Back to you, Sydney.
Thanks, Lily. The Celtics are 1-0 after the first home opener against the Knicks. Just another thing to celebrate following the raising of the Boston Celtics' 18th championship banner Tuesday night. The Celtics now lead the league championship titles, one more than the Los Angeles Lakers, who remain with 17 championships. It was all cheers for the disbursement of the rings, and when former NBA player Kevin Garnett gave current player Jason Tatum a big ol' hug. Tune in this Saturday at 7 p.m. for an away game against the Detroit Pistons. The Celtics will be back at home at TD Garden on Monday for a game against the Milwaukee Bucks at 7:30 p.m.
As the Celtics come off the high of a championship win, the watch parties have led to a disastrous start. At City Hall Plaza on Tuesday night, a drone fell on unsuspecting fans, injuring at least 2 people. The police report noted the drone belonged to CNN and was being flown by one of their employees. The drone was filming the Celtics players receiving their rings, as well as the raising of the banner commemorating their win. Boston police reported that one person was bleeding heavily while another felt pain in their head, neck, and shoulder. City Councilor Ed Flynn is calling for a thorough investigation of the crash. CNN has not released a statement yet. Don't drone off. We're making a pass to our final section after this break.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What?
I can't drive.
Why?
My. Oh.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew a girl so smart, so responsible, she must be a keeper.
Welcome back. Still unsure on how to cast your ballot during this presidential election? Our election show correspondent Natalie Lett might help you decide with some information on both candidates' environmental policy. Let's take a look.
The climate and environmental policy become a bigger topic of discussion in the United States, with many college students advocating for its role in politics.
We aren't getting comprehensive environmental policy outlines or regulations from either campaign or that's actually being talked about. And what we are getting is a lot of watered down stuff because they are scared to take a stance that is a crisis that is threatening everybody around us and our generation.
Candidates' policies could sway young voters depending on how much they prioritize the environment.
I think Harris is moving toward a compromise position, whereas I think that Trump is just favoring very, very strongly a pro-energy policy. So
The climate and environmental policy become a bigger topic of discussion in the United States, with many college students advocating for its role in politics.
We aren't getting comprehensive environmental policy outlines or regulations from either campaign or that's actually being talked about. And what we are getting is a lot of watered down stuff because they are scared to take a stance that is a crisis that is threatening everybody around us and our generation.
Candidates' policies could sway young voters depending on how much they prioritize the environment.
I think Harris is moving toward a compromise position, whereas I think that Trump is just favoring very, very strongly a pro-energy policy. So if people are very concerned about prices and about economic development, I mean, they might find Trump convincing. So I think that with Harris, we're going to get a stronger policy on dealing with climate change. She's also moving toward also having more energy development than people had previously thought that she would. And I think that that's trying to find a more centrist position, trying to find some compromise between dealing with climate change and letting the United States be energy independent.
Some students think the environment is a big priority in their voting decision.
You know, climate change all over the country and all over the world, it's a huge, huge issue. The U.S. has a lot of say, has a lot of pull. As someone who is international, it would be really wonderful if our president-elect has some cool deals and some cool opinions on climate change and get some stuff done.
Other students think different issues should be a priority.
So when I talked to my students, they were engaged, they were going to vote, and that the two issues that they mentioned that they were the most important for them were climate change and the reproductive rights of women.
There are a lot of other issues. I agree with Bora. Human rights is definitely important.
Economic factors. I feel like a lot of people with inflation, especially in these recent years and wars that are going on, that's way more important. I feel like you should definitely focus on those and elect someone that's gonna take care of those.
Political priority levels and plans regarding the environment still up for discussion. It will impact who voters cast their ballot for. For BU TV's election show, this is Natalie Lett. The Boston Ballet will be offering student discounts for their fall season. Students with a valid school ID will be able to buy a ticket, usually costing up to $135, for only $30. The show will be Crystal Pite's The Seasons Canon, which was originally created for the Paris Opera Ballet. The show and student discount will be available from October 24th to November 3rd.
And that's going to do it for this week at Good Morning BU. But before we go, a quick announcement.
This is our last show until November 15th as we prepare for BU TV's election special, United We Vote. Be sure to tune into that on November 6th at 7:30 p.m. live on BU TV's website and on YouTube. From all of us here on the GMBU team, thank you so much for watching. I'm Sophia Falbo.
And I'm Cindy Toff. Stay safe. Have a great Halloween weekend.